Let's talk then about this historic moment of the night. You were both watching on the television, you were watching here in the stadium, so we've got every angle covered. Let's discuss what the experience was like, first of all. As Robbie said, just over a minute and 7 seconds. Some people are saying the wait for the decision added to the drama. Other people are saying it just took that moment away from Kelechi Iheanacho. The moment he had to celebrate the goal was gone. What do you think?
It's a great point as a goal scorer. I mean, I was never one, but that celebration, that moment of just pure joy, celebrating with teammates, almost goes. So I can understand it from that perspective, but getting things right is the most important thing. And it was a big decision. I thought the linesman, it was difficult for him to see it in real time. In the end, VAR was correct. It worked quickly. 1 minute, I think, is more than acceptable for everybody to deal with.
That's what this all comes down to. It's about just making sure the decisions are correct, isn't it? Because if you're the Leicester manager tonight and it ends up 1-1, you're not happy. You've got to get the right decisions in football.
You have to. I mean, we had a decision on Saturday at Wigan, very, very similar, where it was a shot off the goalkeeper, come back, and my centre forward scores. But it's a difficult job for the linesman, you know, and the cleverness of Mahrez and when he's going to pass the ball. And, it was difficult, but it's the right decision in the end.
One thing I would say is if we can get managers to stop complaining after games about decisions, I think it'd be worth it. Not you, Grant.
I think one thing's important, the communication between the crowd and to know what's going on. I think because obviously here tonight you knew that when the referee said about VAR, it was the goal onside or offside. But in going forward, I think if it's a straight red, if it's, you know, whatever.
You're right, people weren't sure what was going
so
on.
I think going forward, it's important that the communication with everybody is a little bit better.
The other thing to remember, of course, it was a decision in favour of Leicester at Leicester, which kind of helped with the atmosphere a little bit. You imagine if it went the other way, the atmosphere might have been a little bit different. But let's just take a look at it, because as you say, it was such a difficult moment for the linesman. Lee Betts was the man making this decision, and there is no criticism of him because it is so tight, isn't it?
It's the tiniest of margins. In the end, Mahrez is brilliant. Look how tight that is. There, you can see he's just on there. But a fraction later, you can see Iheanacho's right foot will be off. So really difficult for the linesman. I think in real time, these decisions are so hard. That's why we have VAR, to help the referees, and it helped them this evening.
I think the quality of Mahrez's passes might get overlooked in that, because to run towards the left-hand side and to chop the ball back without looking, you know, a reverse pass to see Iheanacho, brilliant play from Mahrez.
OK, well, let's see what Graham Poll made of it. Graham, you were sitting in your referee's position, watching from afar. Give us your overall impression, first of all, of how VAR worked tonight.
I thought it was really good tonight. I think last week there was a few glitches in there, but tonight they got it absolutely spot on. And the key for me that I was looking for was as soon as you see that offside, you know, it's a tight decision, and I'm just thinking, John Moss, don't blow the whistle. Please don't blow the whistle, because if he blows the whistle, as soon as he sees the flag come up, they can't use VAR and overrule. So that would have to be ruled out, despite the fact it's correct. The blue lines really help. It makes offside a fact, not an opinion. It's absolutely unequivocal. We all know that is a correct decision now, and that's so for me. I mean, Mike Riley sitting back, he's overseen this for a long time and done a great job with this, with communicating it. He'll be delighted because it's one which we all can agree. Lee Betts, no blame, no embarrassment. It was very tight, and yet it's made a massive difference. It's a goal. There's no goal scoring celebration that's been affected because it would have been ruled out without VAR.
And also, even if there is a goal-scoring celebration that's affected, isn't getting the right decision more important?
Absolutely right. And as the guys have already highlighted, 1 minute and 7 seconds is no delay to play at all, really, because it takes you that long to celebrate a goal and come back into position. So, you know, tonight, really ringing endorsement for VAR, and we just hope now it can continue in that vein.
The key thing we've got to remember, though, is in this situation with an offside, it either is or it isn't. So it's almost the perfect situation for VAR. We mustn't just say, right, it works, perfect. There will be not quite so perfect moments in the months to come. This remains an experiment. Let's remind ourselves of that, I think. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. You know, we saw one where a free kick was floated in, and there was possibly a penalty when two arms were kind of wrapped around the forward, a Leicester player, and it wasn't a clear and obvious situation, and therefore some people would look at that and say it's a clear penalty. For me, that's a penalty. Other people say it isn't, and therefore we stick with the on-field referee's decision, and that's right to keep him and his authority and credibility intact.
Good man. So is there a little bit of you that's a bit sad inside that the old era of refereeing is over, or are you just glad this is working?
No, because as a referee, the one thing you don't want is a mistake to affect a goal or a major outcome. And driving home, you're told it's wrong, and that's a horrible feeling. And John Moss can drive home tonight a very happy man.
Good man, Graham. You may be retired, but you're still part of history. Robbie?
I think Graham makes a good point there as well, because it was such a short space from Miniato to goal, so the referee probably didn't have time to blow the whistle. If it's further up the park, you know, and the referee sees the offside flag go up, blows his whistle, then Graham said you can't go back. That's when it will get, oof, why did he blow his whistle? Do you know what I mean? So Graham makes another good point for Graham there.
He makes a lot of good points.
does,
You
yeah.
shouldn't sound surprised, and we can actually see the linesman's position here. And Robbie's right, it was a very swift moment, wasn't it?
His position's perfect. I mean, you couldn't argue any of it. Mahrez, as Robbie said, perfect pass. He's onside, but it's so difficult to see. I think in real time, this is such a difficult job. He makes a snap decision he thinks is right. And to be fair, he's not far off it. It's honestly, it's millimetres. Brilliant finish, by the way.
Can you imagine if that was 30 yards further up? It's that tight. The referee then hastily blows his whistle because the flag goes up, and then it's proven by VAR should have been a goal. So I think the referees will have to be a bit patient as well when they see the off. Might be a point where you just let it run. Do you know what I mean? If it's that tight, but then there might be a bit of confusion. So it's going to be interesting.
The interesting thing was, at the end of the game, the fans were screaming VAR for a few moments in the game where they just wanted it to actually have an impact even more on the game. So I think the fans enjoyed it today, especially the Leicester one.